Good morning, monsters, and welcome to another episode of Monsters on the Edge on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby, and again, I am the founder of Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We have a huge announcement. We just reached our 1,000 subscribers mark this past week on our YouTube channel, and if you're not checking it out, you're missing out. Check it out. Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, spirits, and the metaphysical? How about Mothman, Bigfoot, and other cryptids? What about UFOs, UAPs, and other anomalous phenomenon? Then you need to check out Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We have all that and more. Watch our series, Caps Road Trip, where we travel across the U.S. in search of these phenomena, and bring you not only the history of these locations, events, and encounters, but evidence that we capture along the way. Alongside our team of researchers and investigators, you never know who will be joining in on the investigations. Are you interested in Bigfoot in Upper Michigan? Check out Finding Heighton, a series documenting the Sasquatch activity on a very special 80-acre property just outside of Menominee that has been a hotspot since 2012. Want even more? Check out our podcasts. Whispers from the Dark is the official podcast of Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, and brings you interviews with the top names in the field of paranormal to cryptids and more. Hear witnesses' accounts and go in depth with the CAPS team to hear more about our ongoing research. Are you more into cryptids? Find links to our all cryptid show, Monsters on the Edge, on the Untold Radio Network. If you're into spooky, subscribe now and you won't miss a minute of our brand new series coming soon, Spirits of Macville. Follow along as we uncover the haunted history dating back to 1877 of a very well-known location you may have never guessed would be haunted. Head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button and you won't miss a minute. That's right, guys. We just hit our 1,000 subscriber mark. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much. And if you guys want even more of that, head on over to Paraflix, our series on the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts. Season 1 is streaming now. You can use promo code CAPS10 to get 10% off your first 3 months of subscription to Paraflix Paranormal. It is the Netflix of paranormal and cryptids, and you can go check that out. Also, guys, you can head on over to our store at wisconsincaps.com, click on Shop Our Store, and I believe there's a sale going on right now, 35% off everything in the store, and you can get t-shirts and hats and hoodies and all kinds of stuff with our logos on, and you can wear it and show your support. You can also show your support by heading over to all of our social media platforms. We are Wisconsin Caps at Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, or WI Caps on Instagram. If you guys want to see us in person, we are going to be at CryptidCon November 18th and 19th in Lexington, Kentucky. It is a huge event with all things cryptid, and it is a lot of fun. A lot of great guests are going to be there. We are also going to be at the Krampus event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, December 3rd, I believe that is. And it is a huge event every year celebrating Krampus. And on May 31st and June 1st, we are going to be at the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention next year. Tickets go on sale for that soon. Head on over to Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention on Facebook and get all the information. Guys, coming up, I am so excited for this. We have the entire cast of the Alaskan Killer Bigfoot is going to be right here on Monsters on the Edge, November 13th for a big Q&A event. So go check out their first season. They got a cool big announcement for you guys, and they're all going to be here on November 13th. So make it a good show. Give us a lot of questions, and they got some answers. So that's coming up as well. All right, guys, if you want to show your support for all things here on the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
Awesome. That's great, guys. Thank you to all of our Super Chat members on YouTube as well. Without your support, we couldn't do the Untold Radio Network. So, guys, it's that time. All right, guys, my guest today is from Squatch America. It is a husband and wife team, Scot and Hannah Violette, combining Scot and Hannah's expertise in anthropology and sociology, research, and communication. They are investigating the unexplained, not explaining the uninvestigated. Their mission is to construct a cultural behavioral narrative of the hominid species known as Bigfoot. Scot, a Native American cultural anthropologist, was led into Bigfoot research through his pictograph-analysis work with the Miwok tribe. We'll let him explain that, of Northern California. And Hannah is a master social worker and human behavioral researcher. This supports their research by identifying behavioral patterns common to both Bigfoot and humans. They've made unique discoveries, had sightings, and their activity and are actively teaching the broader community to conduct field research. I can never talk in the morning. They travel nationwide and host community town hall meetings to collect encounter reports, which are building their pursued cultural behavioral narrative. There we go. And with no further ado, I'll let him do the talking. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scot Violette. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Hi, Barnaby.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, all those big words were my wife's. So,
we can blame her. She's not here, so that's good.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, good morning to you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Mhm.
You got so much things going on. I was checking out your YouTube channel. Tell us about your show and your YouTube and take it away.
Well, we've been doing this for, oh gosh, almost 3 years now. Well, actually, I've been doing the Bigfoot research for 25, but we sold our house 3 years ago and just hit the road and started following up on Bigfoot reports, we get from our website and from people stopping us on the street all the time. I get more Bigfoot reports that way than I do anywhere else. That's why we have our logos all over our truck. So people will tell me stories. But yeah, for the last 3 years, we've been full-time living in an RV, traveling in the United States. We've been across the United States to 4 times now, from Oregon to Maine, and met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people and got their Bigfoot stories. And we, take them out and do research with them too.
Awesome. Well, I definitely know how that goes. Anybody that's seen us in person, the back of my car has our big logo on it and is just plastered with every kind of cryptid and paranormal bumper sticker. Because, as you said, you stop at a gas station or Walmart or something, people come up and start poking at your car and go, "You follow all this stuff?" And I got a story for you. And
Yeah.
awesome. All right. So I see that. We already have a question for you.
Okay.
You asked Scot his best Bigfoot experiences.
Okay. My best
You just
Bigfoot
want the stuff.
experiences.
Just screw everything else. We're done with the interview. Just get to the good stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've had a lot, actually, to be honest with you. But I think my best Bigfoot was an actual sighting. I saw 2 Bigfoot at once. I saw a juvenile and an adult together. And what was really interesting, we had got a bunch of reports in one area, actually 5 reports from 5 people that didn't know each other in the same area in the same week. So I'm like, okay, that's where we need to be. So we headed there, and this is in the Blue Mountains of Eastern Oregon. actually about 15 miles south of this place called Deduck Springs. You might have heard of it. Yeah, but from the Freeman film. But so I was going out one evening to do a night investigation, uh, and it was kind of funny. My wife had a friend of hers. Her dad was really into Bigfoot, had never been in the woods looking for Bigfoot, wanted to go out. It was his birthday, and she asked if we could take him out. So I said, sure. You know, I was going out anyway. So this guy who'd never been in the woods before looking for Bigfoot, we saw Bigfoot the first day he was in the woods looking for Bigfoot. So, uh, so I bring beginners with me all the time. I think it's lucky now. So, but we uh, hiked into the hills. Um, then I came across the smell, and I've heard this described 1,000 times to me. I'd never experienced it. Once I experienced it, I understood why people can't explain it, you know, because it's really bad. But so I was looking around. It was thick forest, couldn't see anything. Um, Told the guy, hey, there's drizzling rain a little bit. So I thought maybe if we walk down the road, they'll follow us and we can get footprints or something, you know? So we walked away, and the smell went away. So I said, well, that's not working. So we turned around and walked back until the smell came back, and then kept scanning the woods looking for where this was coming from. So finally, I just did probably the dumbest thing on the planet. I just in the wood and went, just growled out in the woods, and the juvenile mimicked me exactly, almost exactly the same sound I made. Uh, Came back, and then I saw him about 200 feet away down the hill in this little tiny opening. I caught the movement of the juvenile bobbing back and forth, and I got my camera up. I had about 3 seconds. I got one picture, and then we heard this whistle further up the road off into the woods, and the juvenile turned and walked away. So I had about a 3-second experience, with the juvenile, and that's probably my best experience I've had.
Oh, 3 seconds is a lot, and then it doesn't sound like much, but I think everybody in the chat's always saying like Lee here would like to have. Oops, not that one. Where'd Lee go? There she is. Lee would like to have a Bigfoot sighting for her birthday, so there's all these people who would kill for just a 1 second experience of these things. So I mean
Right.
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Mhm.
We had comment here. Viper says that they have had this smell, and it smells like a wet dog, but you said it's far worse than that.
Yeah, my best description is wet dog, skunk, garbage, and onions. That's kind of it's a weird mix. Very musky.
Further question from the same guy. Wow, that's quite what? Ugh, I can't read. Oh wow, that's an awesome sighting. Seeing the two. Just a further question in regards to the facial features. Did they look similar to that of Patty from the Gimlin film?
Yeah, they did. Very much so. Um, the juvenile a little less. He was a little kind of skinnier and smaller, but the adult definitely looked just like Patty, pretty much. The adult didn't have as much hair on the face as Patty did. Um, I don't know why, but uh, but it's but like I said, I only saw them from like the shoulders up, so I only saw the faces. Um, but we actually, after they turn and walk away, I spent 3 days there, and we cast footprints. We got the footprints where they were standing. So the juvenile had 9-inch footprints, the adult had 16. So not only did I get to see them, got the typical blurry photo, but uh, uh, we also got evidence from the footprints too. So
Very good. Did you have any tree structures when you had that sighting? Was there any of that in the area?
oh, we did not. I have found tree structures, of course, other places, but not where we were at. No, there wasn't any.
Very good. You're just full of comments today. All right, we got another one here. I'm from I'm from England, traveling to Northern California and Southern Oregon next May. Where would you suggest are the best road accessible places for squatching?
If you're going to be in southern Oregon for sure, just outside of a place called, let's see, can't remember, Medford or Cave Junction, one of those two. There's actually a place called Applegate Lake, and you can drive there. There's a little, if you can walk a mile, there's a mile hike to the famous Bigfoot trap in Southern Oregon that was built back in the 70s. But if you drive around the Applegate Lake area, there's sightings there all the time.
Awesome. All right, thank you much.
Mm-hmm.
So you have traveled, like you said, back and forth across the entire country and looking for this stuff. I gotta ask, everyone is talking about the best locations are out in Washington, Oregon, Northern California, and that. Where have you had the most in your experience? Where are you getting the most sighting reports in that from?
Most of them are from Oregon, is where we get the most reports. I have had mostly the Blue Mountains of Eastern Oregon is still a really big hot spot. And we just had a couple weeks in the woods that we did near Crater Lake, Oregon, where we had rocks thrown at us. We had, we put out gifts and they were taken and then brought back and then exchanged and stuff for like a whole week. We found footprints and so in tree structures and we actually had trees pushed across the road while we were driving to keep us from going into places. So that was all up in near the Crater Lake area. So those two areas in Oregon, we get the most reports. But right now we're in Texas and we're headed to Sam Houston National Forest, which we just had a whole bunch of reports from. So that's another place. And we like squashing in Texas, especially in the winter. So.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Why would you go south in the winter?
Yeah,
definitely. It is 28 degrees here in Wisconsin today, and it was already snowing in Wisconsin here, and it's not even Halloween. So I definitely understand the squatching in Texas for the winter. So yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you done anything up in Wisconsin for bigfooting?
Actually, we have not. That's one of the places we want to go. Actually, there's a radio station that I'm on quite often in Kenosha that been begging me to come do a Bigfoot thing there. And that's one of the things we do when we travel too is we try to set up town hall meetings so we can get reports from people, kind of mimicking the Finding Bigfoot show basically. But we so we do that for our YouTube channel. We'll get reports and then we'll go out with the people and see the area that they had their sighting or experience and kind of recreate it with them. But and then we'll spend, the thing about us though is we'll spend 3 weeks in the woods at a time, after we get these reports and stuff. So we don't just spend the night or whatever. We have an RV that we pull, that we park that at RV campgrounds and stuff like that we live in. That's our house. But we have an overlander vehicle that we pull, my truck, the Squatch-mobile. It's actually getting kind of famous. People have been asking us when we go to the Bigfoot conferences and stuff that I speak at, they want us to park our truck out front. But it's all set up. It's got cameras all the way around it. It's got infrared cameras on it. It's got a very sensitive audio recording system on a pole that we can put up in the air when we parked, and tent and 3 weeks of food and its own kitchen and all that stuff in it. So we take that into the woods and spend like 3 weeks at a time usually.
Very good. Yeah, you always hear like these people complain about finding Bigfoot, that they're only out there for one night or something, and that's why they never get anything. Do you find that spending more time in an area gets these animals more used to you, and do you have better interactions the later in your time that you go?
Um, yeah, no. Yes and no. I, it depends. You got the thing is you got to be where they are, and they're not everywhere all the time, So there's been a lot of times, like I would say 80% of the time we go into the woods, nothing happens. Um, I'm sure that happens with, all sorts of different stuff like ghost hunters and stuff like that. I mean, most of the time you're not going to find anything,
Mhm,
but the advantage that we have is we try to follow up on recent reports. So we try to get into areas that are um, active at that time. And then we'll spend 1 or 2 nights and nothing will happen. And then the third or fourth night or fifth night, when, like you said, they do get used to you after a while. And if they notice we're not going to hurt them or we're not, we start putting stuff out. And we don't do like apples and things like that. People often gift food like that. We don't do that. We put things that are just odd to where the area they're in. Like when we're in in the Cascades, or by Crater Lake, we take rocks and stuff that we collect from the beaches that are salty and smooth and different, and we'll put those, stack them on stumps and things in the forest, and then we'll come back and we'll find them rearranged and we'll find them played with, and they'll be missing for 3 or 4 days, and then they'll come back and they'll put them back. So we try to put stuff that's just odd or different, from where the area that we're in, that kind of gives them a little curiosity. They're very curious creatures, actually, and a bit OCD. So
When you have those rocks, you said they were kinda salty. Have you ever thought of, having them DNA tested or anything when they come back? Like, the first thing I'm thinking, if it's salty, that's a mineral, they're gonna lick it.
yep.
Have you ever done anything with that?
We have. We've brought it back. The problem is it's just almost impossible to find DNA labs to do this stuff. A lot of people, well, go get it tested, but it's, sure, they'll test it, but if they don't know what they're testing for, that's one thing. There's very few labs that have uh, the equipment to test something that's not human,
Mm,
basically, for DNA. And then the other thing, it's really expensive, and Bigfoot hunting doesn't pay a whole
mhm.
lot. There's that.
I think a lot of people don't realize that, like you said, it's like over $1,000 or more just for a basic test of anything like that. I know,
Hmm.
Cliff and Bobo talk about that all the time, you know, with our producer or our network runner,
Hmm.
Doug Hychek here. He's working on that, Legend Meets Science too, and that is a huge project with a lot of funding behind it to
Hmm.
get the kind of DNA work that he's doing. So I
Hmm.
definitely understand. I just wondered if you ever happened to submit anything to any of these things or anything if it came back.
No, we haven't actually. I mean, I've got tons of DNA samples. I really do. I've been collecting it for years. As soon as we find some place we can do it, I give some to Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
Okay.
He's got some of our stuff now, and he's going to see if he can get some testing done on some of this stuff that we have found. Some hair samples that we just recently found too, that he has.
I bring it up just in case you're not aware. There's a big study out of Northern Carolina University right now.
Hmm.
No, you
I
didn't
didn't
know.
know, but I didn't know that.
Okay, so there's a study. There's a university-funded study that is looking for any anomalous DNA, not specifically Bigfoot, because they couldn't get it through as a Bigfoot study, but they
Uh-huh.
are looking for any DNA, hair samples, anything with any kind of province to it to show that it could be anomalous. And
Hmm.
they're taking all samples and guaranteeing a report back to you.
Oh,
So I'm not sure which university offhand it is, but I do know it's North Carolina University. Definitely something to check out then if you have any kind of samples. So it's
absolutely. I've got
great.
three.
It's great.
I've got three right now that I can send in. It's ready to go.
Absolutely. They're up and running right now. Cliff and Bobo had the guy that's running the study on their show talking all about it. So if
Okay.
you listen to their show at all,
Mhm.
check that out. Definitely something to look forward to for you. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Cool.
We have another question for you. What branch of service, again, thank you for your service as well,
Yep.
and any paranormal or cryptid stuff while you were in the service that you can talk about?
That I can talk about. Not no. I was in the I was in the army. I was in the infantry. Uh, I did 2 tours in Iraq during Desert Storm back in the day. But we had, well, I can take that back. I did see a UFO in Iraq, but I don't know if it was a missile or a UFO. I'm not sure, but it was weird. But other than that, no, we haven't had any cryptid type stuff while I was in the military.
Very good. Very good. That's probably a good thing. You had enough to worry about over there as is.
Yeah.
So, what on that note, what got you started on this? What made you decide to sell your house and go looking for all this stuff?
Okay. So what happened is after I got out of the military, it was just after Desert Storm. Um, I took my GI Bill, you know, I went back to college and I got my degree in anthropology.
Mhm.
And then I kind of, I didn't know what I wanted to do in anthropology, but once I got into school and the particular school I went to had a lot of Native American cultural stuff going on. They actually the college had a dig that I worked at while I was going to school. That was a Native American village in California. And I really got into that. And so I kind of stuck with the Native American cultural stuff. But what really interested me was pictographs and petroglyphs. And so I really delved into that. And I studied that for a lot of years. And then I got a job with Ohio State University working in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico on the pictographs there. And doing some studies on those. And so that's what really got me into the Bigfoot stuff. It was all the Native American cultural stuff that I worked with, and it's the Miwok tribe in California. Okay, so I actually went to work for the tribe for a while. We were trying to. They never got a treaty with the United States, so we were working on getting them a treaty. So we had to prove how long they had been in, and this is in the Yosemite Valley area in California. So when I was working with that tribe, I was seeing a lot of pictographs I didn't understand, and I was asking the elders, you know, what does this mean? What does this mean? You know, and there's one he said in his language, Yayali, which is hairy man, and I'm like, you mean like Bigfoot? And he goes, yeah, and I go, they exist, and he looked at me like I was stupid, like, yes, they do. So I'm like, oh, okay. And of course, I grew up in Eastern Oregon in the Blue Mountains, and of course the Bigfoot legends all over the place up there, you know. And it wasn't like I was new to Bigfoot, but um, so that really got me interested into the Native American cultural stories of Bigfoot, and I started asking different tribal members and getting the different stories and backgrounds, and that's what really got me into this. And then since then, I've found several pictographs all over the United States and different places. Um, that depict stories with Bigfoot in them. You know, there's that famous one in California, uh, which when I do my talks at Bigfoot conferences and stuff, that's basically what I talk about is pictographs and petroglyphs and history with the native culture and Bigfoot. But there's something I was delving into that pictograph that's the famous one in California, and I noticed something on it that nobody had ever talked about before. And so that's what I talk about. There's actually atlatls on there. An atlatl is a spear chucking device that was used before bows were invented. So that makes that pictograph in California close to possibly 3,000 years old. So it's a lot older than people think it is, you know. So um, so these stories go back thousands of years now, and so that's what we've been trying to do is bring that being a cultural anthropologist now, when in equating it to Bigfoot, now we're trying to figure out what the culture of Bigfoot's like from stories, and that's why we travel and interview people all the time about what they saw Bigfoot do, and we're trying to put it together a cultural narrative. I'm not trying to prove they exist. I know they do because I saw them. And if I want to put my tinfoil hat on, we're never going to prove they exist because the government's going to cover them up. but I'm trying to figure out what their culture's like.
Very cool. Very cool. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. I have a question for you as well.
Okay.
And we have to take a really quick 30-second
Okay.
break here for station identification. And if you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments section because we got a lot of knowledge here, and this is awesome, man. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
All right, guys, we are back here on the Untold Radio Network. I am Barnaby, and today we are talking with Scot Violette about Squatch America. Oh, man. So we're talking about pictographs and that stuff. I know this is off Bigfoot topic, but I got to ask you. I had the opportunity to go out to Utah last year. And I wonder if you're familiar with any of the pictographs out in that area, kind of in by Skinwalker Ranch, basically. There's what I've heard are like these ant men. Do you know anything about those, and what can you tell me?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying they're aliens, but
you're not saying
it's
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of those that are really misinterpreted. But some of them I can't explain. There's like our motto is, we investigate then explain, not try to explain then investigated. But there's some stuff I've investigated that I can't explain. So yeah, there's a lot of those. Some of the depictions that you see in like in Ancient Aliens and stuff like that are actually explainable. There's one in particular, especially it's in Utah, where they show this big creature with horns, and but you got to look at the whole story that's around the pictograph. You can't pick out that pictograph and says, okay, this is an alien. You got to look at the whole story of all the depictions on the rock. And so there's one with the horns and stuff. Actually, there's it's a rite of passage for like the Navajo, and I think the Hopi, and there's a couple others in Utah. But there's a rite of passage in there for a young man to go on his first hunt. They dress him up like an animal. They put horns on him and a costume, and he goes out on his first hunt. So that's what that's depicting. So it's not an alien or a Bigfoot. It's a young man on his first hunt. So there's a lot of those, but there are plenty of depictions of stories of Bigfoot and spiritual beings. There's tons of those. There's a particular one that I did a paper on that's actually in the Smithsonian now, in Chaco Canyon, of it's the frog god, but it's a depiction that's down in Chaco Canyon, but it's talking about pyramids and spiritual stuff that shouldn't be in New Mexico. Actually, it should be down in South America, but it's in New Mexico. So there's a lot of people don't understand that the Native Americans had trade routes that were thousands of miles. I mean, not just the tribe next to them. I mean, we have found obsidian that comes from volcanoes in Oregon and California in Maine, because they traded that far. But there's a lot of depictions of stuff that I can't explain, like especially some of the ones in Utah that are pretty odd, pretty interesting. And I'm not saying they're aliens.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So, when you're traveling, let's get back to Bigfoot here. So,
Okay.
when you're traveling around, you're getting all these stories and stuff, and everyone
Mhm.
wants to know: are these things like nomadic? Do they travel? Do they migrate? So, have you seen any kind of patterns where you can tell where they're moving out of a certain area, or do they stay in a relatively small home base area and move with the food, or do they move from like Wisconsin down to Texas, or what kind of patterns have you found in your research?
Okay, that's one of the things that we really have delved into is putting dates and times and locations, and I've got maps with um, hundreds of of reports, or maybe even thousands by now. But I think they do migrate, but not as far as people think they do. I think they might have a 1 or 2, maybe 300-mile range that they migrate, um, and they don't necessarily. I'm going to say they don't migrate south for the winter kind of
Mhm.
stuff. That they migrate in different locations where the food is prevalent. And I think, and it's kind of funny, in the Blue Mountains, we've found almost a 4-year uh, location change. They'll be in this location and then for like a year or summer, and then they'll disappear for 4 years, and they'll come back to this location. So where they go is probably the other side of the mountain for 4 years, or maybe 100 miles south for the next summer. So they're not in the same places all the time, but they're in the same area, if you want to put it that way. So I do believe they follow the food, like like say they're on this side of the mountain for the food, and during the spring they'll be down low and they'll follow the snow line up as things bloom and the food ripens. um, then they'll come back down, and then they'll go someplace else for next summer. So you got to find where those spots are. So like where we were in Crater Lake this year, they're not going to be there next year, but I bet you in 3 or 4 years they will be back there. um, so that's something that I have discovered, just by keeping reports and trying to figure out the culture of these things, is putting times and dates and locations, and I've found almost a 4-year pattern. It's kind of weird.
And that makes absolutely sense, as far as like, if you're spending too much time in one area, you deplete the resources. You got to give
Hmm.
everything a chance to come back and stuff. So let's turn that around. You've done a lot of work with the indigenous people and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Back in the day when their tribe and stuff moves around, do you find a similar pattern of behavior with that, with the 4-year pattern, or is that more of a seasonal thing as well?
I exactly the same. I
Mhm.
meant like the original indigenous people would move from different locations. I meant they had their summer hunting grounds, they had the winter hunting grounds, they had where they spend different time. Um, like say, let's take the Nez Perce tribe. Uh, the Nahimipu actually is their real name, but the Nez Perce tribe up in the northwest. Um, the Wallowa area was their summer place, but they would go clear to Montana and Wyoming to do hunting and stuff. So it would take them a year to do their loop that they would do. So, and I think it's very similar to what the Sasquatch does. Um, so they have their areas that they travel. So,
Oh. And so certain areas like the Blue Mountains, for example, you talk a lot about that. You're
mhm,
finding evidence of these things there year round though, right? Or is it
mhm.
only in certain seasons or yeah, go ahead.
No, it's year round, but it depends on where they're at this year kind of deal. Like they'll spend a year in a location and then they'll move somewhere else, like maybe 100 or 200 miles away for the next year, kind of deal.
Very interesting. What can you tell us about what you've learned about like their family units, their family groups?
Okay, so what I think they do is I think they have small like family clans. They have mom, dad, maybe one or two generations of kids with them. Like it's something I was talking about with Dr. Jeff Meldrum last year. We were at a conference and we were just sitting around talking for a while, and he has this theory that there's like, say the Blue Mountains of Eastern Oregon's 20, what is it, 25,000 or 250,000 acres? I don't know, it's huge. Anyway, something like that. The Wallowa Whitman National Forest is huge. So in an area that big, he's guessing there's less than 20 Bigfoot there. Out of those 20 Bigfoot, there's probably 4 clans, 4 different groups that are in different locations, living their lives. So I think as a mother and father, they raise, they'll have like 1 or 2, maybe 3 generations of kids with them, and then when the kids get older, they get kicked out. They have to start their own clan from the other 4 clans that are in the area, kind of deal. And I think the smell comes from teenage boys, by the way, just saying. but
Bigfoot or human?
both. No. So I think that's what they do. I think they raise their children, the kids go off, and then the adults, as they get older, they die, and so that clan's, is descendants of, that area's populated by the descendants of that group, so I think they stay in similar areas, like I said, 200-300 miles of each other, but so they I was going to say their population isn't as huge as people think they are. That's why they're so elusive, but I think they live in small family groups.
Do you have any idea of like, have you been able to put together any research as to certain individuals of a clan and, like how old they can get, like an average lifespan, do you think, anything like that?
Boy, not quite, because we don't find many dead ones.
Yeah.
We don't find any dead ones, but no, I'm guessing that their lifespan's probably similar to ours. I'm thinking 60, 70 years, probably, maybe 80, 90, or 100, because they probably eat better than we do, as far as natural foods.
Mhm.
But so, but there's some interesting, now that I think about it in my head, native stories that they do have these clans, but the way they travel is they always have like a watcher, and in the Bigfoot community, there's people that talk about this too. Is they they're very, I was almost say militaristic about their groups. They have people who watch over the group while they're eating or whatever, sleeping. They do guard duty, basically, stuff like that. Um, Boy, my brain just went off in the middle of nowhere. This rabbit trail. But um, what was the question?
You were talking about the behavior and
Oh,
the military aspect of their
yeah,
watch.
yeah. No, I was thinking that's how that's why they're so elusive, is their numbers. They watch out for us. They Oh, that's where I was going to talk about too. That was a really interesting thing is um, in these small groups. And one of the things I learned in anthropology school was tribe in Africa called the ostrich people, because their feet look like ostriches' feet. And one of the first things that happen if there's inbreeding in small populations is the deformities of the feet. Now, everybody's familiar with Cripplefoot, the Cripplefoot cast from back in 1969-70 in Bosburg, Washington. We actually found another Cripplefoot in Vermont last year, or 2 years ago, actually, in October. We found a second one that had the exact same anomaly as the Cripplefoot from back in the day. So I'm thinking in these small groups, and we start seeing these crippled feet things are from inbreeding in small populations. So, boy, I'm trying to put all this weird stuff together and it's not working in my head.
Do you think that the Cripplefoot that you found versus the original one, were you able to get a cast of it?
Absolutely.
Are they the same size? Do you think it's the same individual?
No, not even close. The one that we found is 13 inches long. It's a smaller, younger individual, and it's the opposite foot. But it actually has the exact same anomalies. It has the two nodules on the outside of it. And it basically almost identical to the Cripplefoot. The ones we had, the toes aren't crossed. That's one thing. You can see all 5 toes of it, but it has the same curvature and the same nodules on the outside of it. So, and plus it's in Vermont, not Washington State. So long ways away.
Interesting. Do you think that I had another investigator on here that told me that these creatures migrate from one area to another to look for a mate outside of their current population to avoid the inbreeding? Have you found any kind of stories along that line?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why they don't all have crippled foot now. Exactly, because I'm pretty sure they do. That's probably one of the reasons of what I'm guessing the 200 or 300 mile rotation of where they go. So, yeah, I fully believe that they do tend to look outside their clans or immediate areas for mates. That's what all the whooping's about, I think.
That was going to be one of my next questions here. So you talked about some of the whistles and the military behavior with these things. What have you discovered with the different sounds that these creatures make? What can you tell as far as what they mean, possibly?
Oh boy, that's tough. I do believe that they have a language, for sure. From the Sierra sounds, and there's been other recordings that sound just like the Sierra sounds, but they're from Georgia, and places like that. I do believe they have a language. The screams at night, I think there's a lot of different meanings to them. Of course, I can't tell you what they mean for sure, but if you're familiar with the Klamath sounds, have you heard those? The angry Bigfoot, really kind of pissed off scream.
It sounds familiar, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Google that. Look up the Klamath Bigfoot sounds. But I have actually heard that in real life. It's really angry, terrifying, actually, if you think. But we've had that happen to us. We have a place in Eastern Oregon that it's 120 acres of private land that the folks let us go on to, and we have found TP structures. We found footprints. We get sound recordings there. But we found this terrifying scream. What It was kind of interesting. We had coyotes. It was during the night. We had coyotes on this one hillside doing the coyote stuff, and then there's wolves all over Eastern Oregon too. So we heard wolves howling on this other mountainside over here, and then we heard this just terrifying loud scream in the middle of the night, and everything shut up. It's like, okay, I'm trying to sleep here. I've had enough. But I've heard whoops and whistles. I think whistles are pretty much just like white people whistle. Hey, come over here. Hey, I want to get your attention. We've been led around by tree knocks before. There's one of the things that was kind of interesting is we had a Native American gentleman found a nest, basically. It's kind of an igloo type hut that was built. And I think that's a playpen they put their babies in myself. When you see those kind of woven huts that they build, because they're not, the one we found, 5 foot tall, 14 feet around. It's not really big enough for a full size Bigfoot to get into, but they can put their babies in it. But we found one of those. And while we were doing the investigation, we heard this whoops off in the distance. And then we heard this tree knocks behind us. So we start walking that way. And then the tree knocks moved over here. So we started walking that way. And then we heard a tree knock back at the nest. They led us away, for something. And so I think tree knocks are probably a location thing. A lot of the whoops are probably warnings to other Bigfoot in the area. Hey, there's humans over here. And that seems to be the thing that happens to us the most. And then another thing too, what we did is the recordings that we have got, the whoops and things, whistles, we've actually, my wife, she has too many college degrees. I mean, she's got 3 master's degrees in different things, but she has a degree in psychology, so she helps us try to figure out the psyche of these things. But she also has a degree in music and choir singing and things like that. So we actually we were back at Anderson University, and her professor, a doctorate in singing and vocals, we played Bigfoot sounds for him, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he had to grab him and he put him in his computer and he was looking at him. Now this guy has a doctorate in singing, in vocal sounds, and how to get choirs to sing on key and things like that. And when he first heard these sounds, he's like, no. And so he had to put him in the computer so he could look at the graphic, of the sounds. And he goes, these things are making sounds in 5 octaves and humans can only do 3. So this isn't a person in the woods screaming, and this is something that has one more fold in their vocal cord than humans do. And so I thought that was really interesting. And he said the whistle sounds you got are throat whistles. They're not whistles with the mouth. They're whistles with the vocal cords. And because they can do more octaves than we can. So the whistles are actually a really high-pitched scream, basically. But they sound like whistles to us. So at that point is when I stopped, trying to mimic these things in the woods. They know we're humans. We don't make the same sounds they do. We can't duplicate them. You can't. You don't have the extra fold in your vocal cords to do so. So they're going to know it's you. So at that point, we strictly tree knock now. So because we can copy that one, basically. So as far as their communication goes, I think a lot of the screams and stuff are just basically location things, letting other Bigfoot know where they're at. And so, but anyway, there's that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So Lee would like to know the Klamath sounds. Is that from Oklahoma? And also, do you have any research that you've done in Oklahoma?
It's Klamath with a K, and I think it's from Oregon, like Klamath Lake, Oregon.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but No, I haven't been to Oklahoma actually. That's one. It's on our bucket list. Um, we've done a lot in Arkansas, of course. I've been to Falk many times,
Mm,
um, but in Texas, some in Louisiana, and North Carolina, and South Carolina, uh, Alabama. Have not been to Georgia yet, but um, so no, I haven't been to Oklahoma, but it's on my bucket list. That's one place we want to go. Where we're at in Texas right now is near the Sabine River, Sam Houston National Forest area. It's kind of funny down here in South. They don't call them Bigfoot. They kind of name them after whatever area they're in. So
mhm.
Caddo Lake's got the Caddo Critter. The Sabine River's got the Sabine Thing. It's and the Woolly Booger and the all the fun names. I think they're way more creative down here in the South with their Bigfoot. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Lee says that if you want to, yeah, we're here, Klamath Falls, Oregon.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then Lee says if you get out to Oklahoma, Turner Falls is a nice campground.
Okay. I'll write that down.
All right. And then do you have any thoughts on blue eyes versus amber eyes?
Not really. I think blue eyes are sexy. But no, actually, um, I think their eye color is probably going to be a lot like ours. There's going to be different colors. Eyes. I don't know about blue. As far as I know, I've never seen a report of somebody saying that they had blue eyes. Of course, I may not have. They may be out there, but I have never heard of it. Um, Amber, we get that a lot. But as far as blue eyes, I don't think I've ever heard a report of them having blue eyes.
I would think that, a lot of the reports come from like what they deem as like eye shine, which would be the
Hmm.
reflection, which would be
Right.
like amber or red or any of those colors. I think you would have to
Hmm.
get pretty close to see the actual color of their eyes to see if they were
Right.
blue or not.
Hmm.
And I think that'd be pretty close for a Bigfoot encounter.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I would think that their eyes would be more of a darker color, brown probably. I believe humans actually have the people with brown eyes have better night vision than people with blue eyes, um, which is kind of an interesting thing. But as far as the eye shine goes, that's a lining in the back of the eye called the tatum lucidum. Uh, there's a lot of animals that have that, which basically is a reflector that's in the back of the eye. Humans don't have it. We don't have that. Um, but what it does is magnifies the light that comes in. So you got better night vision. So when we get the eye shine from them, we get red or yellow or whatever, depending on the angle of the light bouncing off this thing called the tatum lucidum, the extra lining they have in the back of their eyes.
Very good. All right, guys, we are coming up on the end of this hour. So if you have any other last minute questions, get them in now. Otherwise, Scott, where are you going to be? Where can people come out and meet you? What conferences are you going to be at coming up? What events you got? Your YouTube? Let's hear it.
Okay, so our YouTube's Squatch America, and we try to do 3 shows a week. We do one fun thing of our travels on Tuesdays called Terrific Tuesday. We go live every Wednesday night. We have an hour-long show that we do live and have guests on and things, and talk about different things that you want to talk about. And then every Friday we do a post of us in the woods doing our thing. So we have our follow-ups from our actual outings, evidence and stuff that we've found. So that's on our YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page, Squatch America. You can go there to find out where we're at and what's going on. And squatchamerica.com. If you want to go sign up for our email list, go there. There's the annoying pop-up that pops up and says, sign up for our email list. Please do that, because that's where we let people know where we're going to be and when we're going to be doing town hall meetings, or we're going to be at this campground for this week. If you want to come meet us, email me or whatever. So that lets us know. We've already booked at 10 conferences this year. Most of them are in the Pacific Northwest. We'll be in Medellin Falls, Forks, Washington, Roseburg, Eugene, Medford, Anderson, California, Klamath Falls, Oregon, and we're going to be at the what's that one? Glide Bigfoot Festival, which is huge, actually. We were there last year as a guest speaker, and there was 14,000 people showed up for that place. That's crazy. Little tiny town in the middle of nowhere.
Awesome.
So that's all you can go to our Facebook page, and there's a banner that has where we're going to be for the festivals.
Very cool. Very cool. Sounds like you are very busy. So
yeah.
Awesome, man. We'll keep up the good work for Squatch America. It seems like you're missing a few states yet. So
we are.
Got some work to do.
We do. Oklahoma for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Yep. All right, man. Thank you so much for being a guest today. I absolutely enjoyed it. You have so much information and amazing personality, man. So thank you so much for coming on.
All right, thanks.
All right. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Coming up next week, we have the producer Brett from A Flash of Beauty, the Paranormal Bigfoot. And guys, I'm going to give you the promo for that one more time here before we go. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check that out.
There's things that I won't tell you, that I can't tell you. All I can tell you right now is, and I'll look you right in the eye, I'll tell you, whatever goes on in these woods, don't take it for what you can see. Because there's a lot more to what you can't see. Bigfoot, shape-shifted, folks.
It's not just that Sasquatch exists, it's that Sasquatch can do this, and this, and this.
We had the hair tested by a vet. It came back as an unknown hair type. Then I turned to Daryl and I said, listen, it could get really weird now.
It was able to do things that you couldn't even imagine.
What are the chances of us seeing something like that? 1 billion to 1? 2 billion to 1? Why us?
I think if you can base some of this in science, it allows us to have the grasp of what's going on. Coherent matter can work in ways that ordinary matter can't because it's based on quantum principles. So it can easily go into cloaked mode.
And the words repeated, why are you carrying a gun? And the second time it went through my head, I knew they're talking to me.
It's not about the one encounter. It's about the thousands of encounters, exact same type of characteristics that tell the story. You cannot deny it. And that's why you have to acknowledge the paranormal aspect.
What did I just see here? Oh my goodness.
I love Eric at the end there every time. All right, guys, that is coming up next week. A Flash of Beauty, Bigfoot, and the Paranormal. Brett is going to be here on the show to answer all of your questions. So if you guys haven't checked it out, go check that out right now. And come with all your weird and wonderful questions next week for that. So until next time, guys, I'm Barnaby, and I'll see you on the edge.